I think Commissioner Sutton had another comment.
Well, Madam President, I was going to suggest that in light of what we've heard today, it might be wise if we initiate an agenda item on this issue, on the Commission's exploration of possible further action on lead ammunition in the environment in California. Sonky or Don, when do we anticipate seeing a report on this issue from that you just mentioned from the department?
I don't know the current timeline on that one.
Okay.
But as you know, your upland game small mammal cycle would start later this spring, early summer, actually later spring. So when we bring you any changes to those regulations, that would of course contain any information relevant to this issue with that initial statement, because we would base it on data. That's something we usually like to do.
Great. I'm going to suggest that we agendize this for receipt of that report and consideration of possible further action.
I'm against that. I think we're premature, Commissioner. I think we need to give it some time so we can find out exactly what we've already done is doing. I mean, we're getting a lot of hearsay, but there's admittedly no specifics. And I'll say it again, and I've said it before, that if hunting was not allowed in California at all, the condor and these other raptors are still going to be dying from lead poisoning. It's not the lead from bullets necessarily. It hasn't been proven that it is necessarily. So I think that this Commission's stepping beyond their bounds by trying to expand this prior to the... We agreed when we did this we were going to get information, gather information, and see if it was worth considering in the future, but I don't think there's been enough time for that to happen yet.
Well, I don't mean to speak for Commissioner Sutton, but I don't think, well, maybe he could answer this better than me. I don't think he means to get out in front of the science. I think what he means to do is make certain that we are going to stay with the science. I personally agree with you entirely, Jim, that we should not get out in front of the science. And I disagree with you, and as we have previously, that there was no science connectivity with the condor. To my mind, there was. But we want to make certain that we vet that issue very carefully as we go forward.
Just to clarify my suggestion, and it's not to agendize action at this time. It's to keep this issue on the agenda so that we can have a place to consider new reports and information as they become available and consider what action we might take down the line.
Okay. Commissioner Richards, you had a comment?
I do. I'm surprised at even the suggestion, candidly, particularly from the one commissioner I consider the most science-based and whose opinions I respect immensely, and you know that. I think Jim is spot on, and I like what Sonky said. Let's see what the data says. You know, I love a lot of the speakers that came up here that are espousing facts that are opinions. They're not facts. And there's wildly divergent opinions and some facts out there. And I think what's important is that we have a legitimate process here. If we don't have a legitimate process, then the firestorm will be significantly worse. I think that's what we need to have legitimacy. And legitimacy will take the time that's necessary to have the science presented to us in the formats that it typically comes to us. And then when it's appropriate to take whatever actions or inactions that need to be taken, then we'll do that. But to just agendize it and say we're going to start looking at this and putting a target on that will simply make those in opposition believe it's fixed and probably not in our best interest.
Well, I didn't hear that at all as one commissioner. I heard that if the information comes out in time, we would agendize it and we would look at it. And it's obviously a very emotional issue. Many of the people here who testified are anticipating the next step in this. And rather than hide that fact that there's definitely differing views on the commission as to what we're going to do, that we would go ahead as those reports come in and make sure the public's aware of it and agendize it at that time when those reports come in. So
Yeah, I agree with what Cindy said, Dan, and I think the point you're making is very well taken. I mean, we do not want to get out in front of the science. You're absolutely right. On the other hand, I think it's important, because of the interest in this, that we stay current at least. I do not want to get one step out in front of the science. I think you're absolutely right.